Hey y'all, this is Marley K. Hope y'all are well. Got a topic that I want to talk to you about, and it is about the Civil War. You remember I was telling y'all that we needed to be prepared for what's coming, and you see that like not long after Sarah Palin did her call for civil unrest, young white folks start doing their thing in our community. And it's going to be like this going forward because this is what the powers would like to happen. It is another fear tactic. It is something to keep us on our toes in chaos. And it is also a way for them to stoke racial violence. So if you haven't checked out the Black Authorities discussion on it. I think he did a discussion on it last night, but I'll put a link in the description for you. It was really good. And, you look at the fact that it happened in Florida. If you're from the South, you know every one of these racist southern states got a history. But Florida's like extra special when it comes to the levels of racism and the tortures and the um, just the lengths that they've gone through to make sure that Black folks know their place and to let Black folks know that their lives don't matter. Whether it's from stand your ground laws to burning down entire towns like they did in Rosewood. Florida is notorious for racial animosity and anti-Blackness. And they have a confederacy against us working there because they have the little small hats who are not us. They have the white Hispanics, the Cubans, who they've allowed in power because they participate in anti-Blackness. And then they have imported lots of Black immigrant groups who do not like Black people. And so, if you don't know anything about Florida and the racial dynamics and the history, you really do not understand what is going on right now. So, we are sitting ducks wherever we go now. And so we really do have to be on our P's and Q's when it comes to being out and about. And now that my hair is like white, I have a youthful face, but if you have one of these cowardly young white men who believe in racial purity or this blonde hair, blue eyed ideology that so many Anglo-Saxons have, although they never say it, we're sitting ducks. So when we're out, we need to be aware of our surroundings. We need to be aware of where we go. We need to be cautious and cognizant at all times because we don't ever know who is lurking in our communities. We already don't have access to a lot of resources in a lot of predominantly African American communities. And those are places, are typically where Black people are comfortable. They're doing their usual thing. We're not threatening each other. We're not afraid of each other. We don't, need weapons because we typically are peaceful, cordial people. Now, there are some of us who are a little rambunctious and hood fabulous, but I'm not talking about those people. But what I'd like to say is we all need to be aware of our surroundings. And I've been talking about men, 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 men. Um, you know, this guy went and he killed a woman. And they don't care who they killed. Automatically they're going to kill men because even little Black boys are threats. The Trayvon Martin is a threat. You can go down the list of um, the little boys that have been murdered in this country because Black lives don't have any value to these people. And so we as women, we also need to be aware of our surroundings. We need to, when you go in the store, you need to be looking at, how do I get out of here? When you getting out of your car, you need to be looking around. And I'm sorry to say this, I know I have Gentiles who watch this channel, but I'm at the point where I don't particularly trust Gentile men, especially young ones. And I've told stories. I don't know if I told the story here or I talked about it on Medium. But when I lived in Florida, we have our own spots that we like to go to because we don't have to stress. If you've worked around, white people all week, if you've been around them, there are some places that we go because we don't want the hassle. We just get tired of being harassed, looked down upon, told we don't haven't assimilated properly, whatever. And we go to our spaces, we go to our corners, we go to the places that we are allowed to be in at peace, and we still are not at peace. We can't go any place without the Gentiles trying to cleave to us for some reason. Sometimes they just like to be around us, which is cool, but I really don't think they understand how stressful it is living in this country around them. And so when we go to spaces, and although I know we all share. In part, we have to share now with Gentiles because they've basically made it so that we have to be dependent on them and other groups they're in confederacy with, because they won't allow us to do certain things. They devalue our properties. If we have businesses, they don't support our businesses like we support their businesses. um, just they don't put into our school systems, and they pluck our best and brightest, the talented 10th, and they leave the 90% who are just regular folks to just try to put the pieces together, and they don't know how to put the pieces together. But whatever we make in hobo and make it comfortable for us, we always have Gentiles who cleave to us, in particular Anglo-Saxon Gentiles, because there are other groups who wouldn't dare come in our community, like Indians and Chinese people, Asian, Japanese. You don't catch them shopping at the soul food restaurant. They don't come to our hair stores. They don't patronize our businesses. They don't. They put stores in our community. They take their money and they spend elsewhere. They circulate their dollars within their community. We're the only group who cannot do that. We're not allowed to. Even if we try to, they, flood our communities with immigrants. So it's like we're never, ever, ever at peace here. And so when you're in places that are supposed to be Black havens, Black safe spaces, Black safe communities, like I don't care where I go. I can go to the most hood place and I'm okay. I feel better in the hood. Even if I don't know where I am, I'm gonna look for where the Black people at, where the Black people shop, where the Black people eating, where the Black people go. I don't care where I go, even if it's in the South. I'm looking for where the Black people go because I know I'm gonna be comfortable. I know I'm gonna be safe. I know we have a camaraderie and respect for one another, and I like to patronize my people because I also know how we struggle. And so when you have people who intentionally come into our community and stalk us out, looking around, scoping out things so they can come back and do harm to us, it really bothers me. It bothers me that Black people don't really pay attention to this. And, we have this mindset that the Gentiles have given us that, we're all the same, we're all family. We ain't all the same. No, we're not all family. We know by now we cannot be amongst them because they're not safe. And not all, I understand that, but the good got to understand that they're in the minority because there are so many more bad ones, so many more evil ones, so many wicked Karens and Kens and, terrible police and terrible judges, terrible social workers, you name it, you go down the list. And so when you have all these different people who at every level of society, I don't care whether it's a bank loan, car loan, mortgage, uh, utility company, just everybody just overcharges us, insurance companies. And so we're just under duress constantly. So the one place you can go that caters to your people, Dollar General, and then you go in there and you get attacked. Like, there's no place you can go. You can't go to the grocery store in your community. You can't go to the Dollar General. And I know people are, well, what about black on black crime? We ain't talking about black on black crime. Ain't no such thing as black on black crime. White people created that. The biggest gangsters in America are Anglo-Saxons, from the police on down to the politicians. And let's not even forget about the mafia. This country has always been run by white gang members, and nobody has anything to say about them. But as soon as we start trying to address issues with people, in particular perping on us, then they got to bring up something else. We're not doing tit for tat here. I don't do that. I'm talking about white people coming into our communities and doing harm to us, doing us dirty, just because somebody made a call for white people to do violence to us. Like I told you, when they start talking about Civil War, I know what they're talking about. My daddy knows what they're talking about. All these old black men around here where I live, they know what these white people are talking about. These young black folks, they act like they don't understand. And some of these older black folks are so into this we all family, times done changed. They don't understand that times have reverted back. This is the very tail end of the second Reconstruction era. We are headed towards civil war. But they're calling for civil war, but it ain't the civil war that most people think they're talking about. They're not talking about politics. They're talking about us. Make no mistake about it. These people are talking about African American black people. How can they torture us? How can they harm us? How can they get away with doing whatever? And they'll get away with it because this nation sanctions people doing harm to African American black people. It's the reason we don't have a hate crime bill. It's the reason we can't get any justice. It's the reason there's no mercy for our souls. So you see all these hurricanes and all this stuff that's happening, a lot of it is judgment, but a lot of it is their own people doing harm to them. We gonna be all right, even if some of us perish, and I know some of us are going to perish. We gonna be all right because the Most High is going to work it out on our behalf and pay this country back and the West back for all the blood they've spilled of ours. Their ancestors are causing them to have to pay for what they've done to us back then and what they're still doing. They've never stopped harming us. And this is a perfect example. This story in Jacksonville where a mother and a father were killed in a store just shopping. A 21-year-old white guy who wore a tactical vest while carrying an AR-style rifle and a handgun bearing a swastika opened fire at a Dollar General store in the predominantly black neighborhood of Newtown on Saturday, killing 2 men and 1 woman. So they knew where to go. Another thing that TBA talked about is how these white supremacists know where historically black communities are. They know where we are. We don't know our enemy, but they know us. They study us like no other people on earth. And so once you understand that There's no place to hide from these people, and you're gonna have to be prepared for whatever. You can't be walking around here all willy nilly and acting stupid. You can't be walking around here not prepared. You got to be prepared at all times. When I go in the store, especially when I have my grandkids with me, we talk before we get out of the car. Look, y'all not walking out from me. You're going to stay with me at all times. If you hear gunshots, if you hear something sound like firecrackers, we running, okay? And this is what we're going to do. Just rules. I hold on to them tight. I keep a cart just in case I got to put everybody in the cart and we got to run. Get on here, let's go. It's a shame that we have to think like this, but as Black people and as a Black woman who does, and I do most things alone because I'm not married, I'm single. I have to think defensively at all times. I have to think about risk management when I am out in the public. And I'm not ashamed to say, when I see a white man, I'm checking him out. I'm looking to see if he's armed. I'm looking to see what his demeanor is. I'm checking out his facial expressions. I'm looking to see where he's walking to. If he getting in his car, he look like he tinkering around too much. I don't think casually about white men, and young white men especially. If it's a white man, I'm examining it. Even if it's a white young boy, I can tell the difference between a teenager and a young adult man and an older man. I'm checking all of them out because all of them have histories that precede them. They will do harm to us, and in the name of white supremacy, in the name of white purity, in the name of nationalism, and just because some politician told them this is what we need to do, we know we don't matter to this nation. And so we have to look out for ourselves, and we have to look out for our brethren, because there's so many people who just walking around here willy-nilly and just not thinking that you could go to the store and the day could be your day. So even where you choose to shop, now you got to be strategic. Don't always go to the same place. Try to go where it's a nice variety of people. Thankfully, I'm here back at home, but I live in the heart of the Confederacy, where the Confederacy started. So I don't have any thoughts that something couldn't happen to me here. I know I could go any place at any time and something could happen, because here we still have communities that are redlined. There are communities where Black people historically lived, and there are places where white people historically lived, and those lines are still there. You can see the changing of the community as you drive. So we just got to do a better job of being aware of our surroundings, men and women. I don't leave home without something on me. And I sit, when I go to a restaurant, I'm watching the door. I'm not sitting with my back to the door. When I go into a store, I'm looking immediately where the exit is. How do I get out of here if somebody starts shooting? Because I know they're coming in the front door, so I'm trying to get to the back. And then what is the plan once you get out? You running, what are we doing? I can't say that I case once I get out of a store. I just need to get out. But I know when I come to a store, I'm not too fast trying to linger around the front door. I usually get what I need to get if it's close to the front door, and then I'm start moving around to the back, or moving. But I don't spend a whole lot of time in stores. But it don't take a person with a bad motive much time to go into a store and do harm to you. So this young white man went into the store, and y'all know how small Dollar Generals are. Killed Angela Carr, she was 52. AJ Ligure, he was 19. And Gerald Gallion, he was 29. Like 3 young Black people. And I don't consider 52 old. Just gunned down for nothing. They went to the store. They wasn't bothering anybody. They didn't go to a white person's community and be like, oh, we're going to start beef. Nothing. We can't even go to the store in peace. Just terrible. So somebody says this community has suffered again and again. So many times this is where we end up. Jacksonville Mayor Donna Deacon said Saturday. This is something that should not and must not continue to happen in our community. The U.S. Department of Justice announced Sunday that it is investigating the shooting as a hate crime, but we already know how that's going to turn out. With this administration, they're not going to do nothing. They can investigate all they want. We already know what the outcome's going to be. By the time you figure it out or remember, it'll be election cycle. It'll go on to the next administration, if there is one, and nothing will happen. So I just wanted to say, we have to really be on our P's and Q's because these people have called for civil war and they mean what they say. So not only do you have to worry about Papa and them, you got to worry about these young white men who have a deep perpetual hatred for us and for no reason because they're not even old enough to have hatred for us. We don't do anything to these people. Probably don't even spend any time around us at all, but they just hate us because that's what's in their blood. So keep praying, keep prepping, pray for our men and women. Just pray for our community, period. Because we are under attack in so many different ways. It is insane. And I don't know how we're going to wake our people up to get them to see what's coming. It's a lot of stuff going on, y'all. A lot of stuff going on this week. A lot of stuff going on this month. And really the next 2 months. So keep your heads on a swivel. Look out for one another. Be aware of your surroundings at all times. Before you get out of your car or if you're on public transportation, you need to be looking. When you go in a store, you see somebody not looking right, go someplace else. Watch, sit back and watch before you enter. You see somebody sitting in their car, their truck, and just watching people, watch them. We got to do a better job of looking out for ourselves because this country is falling and failing, and those people are going to lash out. The people who have been at the top of the food chain are getting ready to fall down to our level. There ain't going to be they're going to be 2 classes of people now, rich and poor. White won't matter. And folks are going to be fighting and scrapping, but everybody's going to be fighting us because nobody wants to be on the bottom. Everybody wants to beat us down. So make sure you understand what time it is. All right, y'all, this is Marla K, and I'm out.